Hey guys, this episode of Sports Spectrum's podcast is presented by our brand new Sports Spectrum Increase 52-week devotional, inspiring stories of faith from the world of pro sports. This devotional, this book, is available now at Amazon and at theincrease.com. That's the website, theincrease.com. And I'm telling you, it's a great resource. It's a great gift idea. It's a great devotional to go through with your family, with your coaching staff, with your team, once a week, inspiring stories from athletes and other people in the world of sports who were interviewed and featured here on Sports Spectrum. And now we put this in a book form, and I know it's going to encourage you. I love this devotional. I hope you'll consider getting yourself a copy. Again, the 52-week Increase devotional, available at Amazon and at theincrease.com.
This is Sports Spectrum, the intersection of sports and faith, where we bring Jesus back into the conversation. Here's your host, Jason Romano.
Hey guys, welcome to Sports Spectrum. I am Jason Romano. You can reach us at sportspectrum.com. That's our website. Articles, podcasts, devotionals, free resources, all available at sportspectrum.com. And if you have a guest idea or a topic or someone you'd like us to cover here on Sports Spectrum, you can email me directly, jason@sportspectrum.com, jason@sportspectrum.com. And we have a great conversation today with Jared Butler. He's actually featured in the current edition of Sports Spectrum's magazine. Jared is an NBA rookie, currently with the Utah Jazz. He was selected 40th overall in the second round of the 2021 NBA draft. But you know that name, Jared Butler. You think of Baylor and them winning the national championship this year in college basketball. This past season in 2021, Jared Butler was named the Final Four most outstanding player in that crazy Final Four that saw Butler really demolish Gonzaga in that national championship game. Jared was a big part of that team, and he's also a big part of living out his faith as a basketball player. And the 21-year-old joins us today. He talks to Cole Claiborne, our Sports Spectrum producer, and this is a really fun conversation, a great conversation, catching up with NBA rookie, college basketball champion, Jared Butler, joining us right now on Sports Spectrum.
Jared, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Hey, how you doing? I'm glad to be here. What's up, Cole?
Doing all right, yeah. So this is your first year in the NBA. This is an exciting time for you. Just walk me through draft night, all that, getting started with the Jazz. What has this process been like for you? Obviously, coming off a title at Baylor, it's been an exciting year for you just in general. But this first year here in the NBA, what's the experience been like so far?
Yeah, it's obviously been a long journey. As a kid growing up, I always wanted to play in the NBA. And going through college was a long journey of just, trying to get better and trying to put myself in a position of being drafted. And then draft night finally comes and I get drafted to the Utah Jazz. It was an emotional night, a lot of ups and downs, but just really thankful for the Jazz and choosing me and just getting me on with my career. And, it's another adjustment. It's like going into high school again or going to college again. It's just a big adjustment and learning new people and trying to learn your way. So that's kind of been what it's been like so far.
What has been the biggest adjustments, I guess, both on and off the court for you?
I think just the lifestyle of being a basketball player. Like, I don't think people realize how much basketball you play and how much you work out and how much it is for your body. Like literally every day I'm playing basketball or I'm doing something related to like getting better at basketball. And that's been the biggest adjustment. Usually in college, you go to school and then you practice, but it's like, it's kind of like a two separate thing, but here it's all basketball.
Have you missed going to class yet? Or are you happy to not have to go to class?
I've kind of missed the atmosphere of just having a bunch of people around. That's what I've missed the most.
Yeah. I remember shortly after I graduated college, I was like 23 and I was so used to being in school and I went to a coffee shop and just grabbed an old textbook and I was just like, I miss learning. So I didn't know if you'd had that itch yet, but you're constantly learning new stuff with, different plays and trying to study your opponents. You're in film session every day. So your mind is getting worked in different ways, just in a different way as an athlete. So you're probably staying intellectually stimulated as it is. But what do you do just, I guess, for fun? Obviously you're playing a lot of basketball, but it looks like you're sitting in a gamer chair. So I assume maybe you play some video games as well.
I definitely do. This is the most video games I've ever played in my life since like a little kid. But video games has been definitely a way to escape, of just coming home and just grinding it out with my friends. I try to hang out with people and go to eat, go to dinner, do stuff like that. Just try to have something other than just basketball in my life. So that's been kind of my thing. And obviously getting to know Utah and seeing the best sites and places, going to the mountains and everything like that. So.
Yeah. So I want to take kind of, I guess, a trip back down memory lane, not too far, but back to March and April. Obviously, the NCAA tournament was rather unique this year, having to play in the bubble. There weren't fans like you normally would be used to. As a fan myself, it was good to just have the tournament in general. But obviously, your team was able to go through and win the tournament. And I know that had to have been such an exciting time for you guys. Just walk me through the season that you guys had, and obviously knocking off a team like Gonzaga in the championship was a big deal. But what was that tournament run like for you guys? Obviously being in one city and having to play kind of just in a few different venues, but not really getting to travel. And I'm sure that it was a weird, unique feeling, but at the same time, you guys got to celebrate at the end.
Yeah, it was very unique. Something I've never been a part of. I think the closest way I can explain it is like a AAU tournament. I mean, every team was in the same hotel. 68 teams, and then you were able to see teams leave, like they would lose and then leave the next night, to see their room and their like video room, and you'd be like, dang, they're out of here, just like that. And it was fun. Like it was like a King of the Hill type thing, because you would see people leave and like, all right, like we're the last team standing. Yeah, everybody's like just trying to stay another weekend, and it was super awesome because you just spend a lot of time with your team, and we had to find ways to have fun. We played a lot of games, card games and stuff like that.
And I remember, obviously following you guys during that run, and there was a lot of talk about this culture of joy that you guys have at Baylor. A lot of people that listen, they might be familiar with that, but as somebody who played in the program, how would you explain what that is and what that represents?
Yeah, so culture of joy it sounds kind of corny when you hear it, but it's more of like a frame of mind, a perspective that we tried to play the game. And the joy is an acronym for Jesus, O for others, and then U for yourself. And obviously Baylor being a Christian Baptist school, we were allowed to share our faith and put our faith on display. And Coach Drew did a great job of putting this framework into place to kind of help us, think the game and see the game in a different light. And I think it helped us a lot. Obviously, I'm not saying that because we believe in God, we won a national championship, but I think our frame of mind was on par with a successful way of thinking.
And one of the things that I heard you talk about quite a bit during interviews during that tournament run was you talked a lot about how much passion you had in teaching Sunday school at your church down there in Waco. And I'm sure you've talked a ton about this, but I know it's something that brings a smile to your face every time you get a chance to do it. What was that experience like? Why was that so special to you? And being able to give back to that community, but also just being involved in your church and talking with people about Jesus and about your faith. What was that experience like, and why was that such an important thing for you to do?
Yeah, it was super awesome for me. I'm a pretty young believer as far as when I started believing, but I didn't realize how important and how valuable the aspect of community in your life is. As a believer. And with the church and at Harris Creek, they did a great job of allowing young people to pour back into the church. So teaching Sunday school was like just a great way to get a laugh and also live out my faith and also be a light for just young kids growing up. And they were kind of surprised that I was a Baylor basketball player teaching them Sunday school. So that was good just for the kids in general, and then also for me and being pour back and realizing that like my life is not all about me.
So you mentioned you're a young believer. I mean, what was the moment like when you finally decided that Jesus was who you wanted to follow and you wanted to give your life to Jesus? Was there a particular person that was instrumental in your life, or just what was that process like for you?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it was one of my roommates, so to speak. His name is Jackson Moffitt. He kind of put the bug, the little, the little seed, so to speak, in me. And Baylor's a great place also for believers, and having so many things you could, learn about your faith and this, that, and the third. So it was around like beginning of sophomore year, end of freshman year, summer, where I finally, put my trust in Jesus. And since then, it's been a great time. And obviously being at Baylor was a great thing for me, just as a young believer.
Who was instrumental in helping you grow in your faith while you were at Baylor?
Yeah, Jackson Moffitt was the kind of the first person. And then there's guys like Jonathan Pokluda, the pastor at Harris Creek. There's Nate Hillenkamp, youth pastor at Harris Creek. There's Coach Drew, even. He was so instrumental. And then there's assistant coaches like Coach Tang and Coach John Jacobs at Baylor that were all just great believers, people who, helped me when I had times of unbelief and times of just hard times as a basketball player and as a college student in general. They were great people for me.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, last year, just, I would imagine as an athlete, I mean, as humans, the last couple of years really have been hard for all of us with the pandemic. And then, last year we had all the social justice stuff that went on, and we've had a lot of stuff that have happened. And just as you navigated the season last year, and I guess even so into your rookie season, what are some rhythms that you have developed to make sure that you're staying in the Word, that you're staying connected with God, and not letting that part of your life kind of go by the wayside, which can be so easy to do when you get really busy, like you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a believer, the first and foremost thing is obviously reading in the scriptures in the Bible. That has been like a steady, constant thing that's helped me every day to day, like something that I need. It's like my daily bread, so to speak, or obviously what it is. But that's been like a staple in my Christian walk. And I think my community has been great. Like my former teammates, my roommates, we text every day. We pray for each other. That's been like so huge for me, especially since now that I'm away from Baylor and I'm kind of by myself and haven't found a local church yet to be really plugged into. So I would say definitely reading the scriptures, my community, and then just talking to people as much as I can. That's been kind of the things that help me, especially with the times has been going.
What's been maybe the biggest adjustment, like we talked about earlier, kind of the biggest adjustment in general going to the NBA, but just in terms of trying to find time to do that as an NBA player? I mean, you're traveling a lot, you're practicing a lot. You said you spend a lot of time playing basketball. Just what's that adjustment been like from a personal and relational standpoint? Because your work, I would imagine, takes up so much of your time, and people see the 2 or 3 hour game on TV, but they don't realize what else y'all are doing. So just from a relational standpoint with friends and family, even, but also with God. I mean, how has that adjustment been for you here specifically during the NBA season?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of put it in layman's terms, like I'm a young adult moving to a city that I've never been. I don't know anybody. I'm living by myself. It's just a huge adjustment. And then on top of that, like I'm flying to a different city every other day. Like adjusting to the new team, new guys around me. So like it's pretty similar to any young adult right out of college going to a new job, a new city, and trying to learn their way. So I think the up and down of my life and just the schedule of an NBA player has been the biggest adjustment. And I think what God and what Jesus has allowed me to be is to stay on solid ground, to kind of have that foundation of this is how my life is and this is what I'm going to build my life on. And even though my life is going up and down and some things I might not know might not happen, that's been the best thing.
That's awesome. And so right now you are, I know, very passionate about this cause. Could it be HCM? You were the first known active NBA player, I hope I pronounced this right, with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Did I pronounce that right? Is that correct?
Hypertrophic. You're good.
HCM, we'll call it that. So you are the first known active player with HCM, and this is a cause that's obviously near and dear to you. And you're kind of championing this cause here this year in the NBA. Just walk us through. Obviously, you were diagnosed with this. maybe for people that are listening that don't know much about it, explain what this is, what HCM is, and why this cause, could it be HCM, and everything is important to you to champion.
Yeah. So HCM, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, is just a genetic heart disease. Could be genetic or could be non-genetic heart condition that's very common. And it's affected me. I learned that I had it when I was 18 years old, just got to college, ready to take college basketball by storm. And I learned that I had it, and I didn't know that I had it. I didn't have any symptoms beforehand. And I think the biggest thing, as a spokesperson, so to speak, is that like my condition, although I do have HCM, it is very unique in the way that I can still be able to play, and in the symptoms that I had from my HCM. So, but yeah, it's big. It's so important for me because number one, it's affected my life, and number two, I know me speaking about it is going to help other people who are going through the same thing that I'm going through.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, just like you've gone through times in your faith, of unbelief or just different struggles and that sort of thing. And I would imagine health stuff like this plays a part in that. I know this is probably too easy of a question, maybe, but how much does your faith help you through stuff like this, where your livelihood depends on the physical shape of your body and the health of your body. And you've got, a heart condition that can put that at risk, that you don't know what could happen with that. And so just how much do you rely on your faith, and how much has this helped you guide through any potential fear or struggles or anything like that you've had as it relates to this particular health condition?
Yeah. When I first learned that I had the condition, it's one of those moments where you're like, man, like, why me? What does this mean for my life? Just super, pivotal moment in my life. And I think for my faith, so to speak, I think what happened, me being diagnosed, kind of jump-started my relationship and having to realize that, man, I'm not in control of my life. And there's something outside of me that's kind of in control. But like I said, I wish I relied on my faith more, because, if I did 100%, I'll be just smooth sailing, like have no worries ever. But it's definitely helped me a lot, tremendously. I mean, there's times where I'm playing just basketball and my parents having, doubts and worries about, my health, and my faith has been something I have to remind me and my parents about, where we find our guidance, where we believe who's in control. So that's been just a constant, I think, for anybody to have, belief and not have any worries.
So, it's not often, I guess, where in this day and age, with medical advances, that we have players that come in with usually, with the first known person to have something. But it's probably got to be, I don't want to say a cool thing for you, but you get to be the person that, if people are learning about this for the first time, or maybe their son or their relative or friend has this as well, you're kind of the go-to person. And maybe even within the league, there might be some players that are learning about it. Maybe they find out they have it, or a relative has it. You're going to be the guy that goes to, that they go to for that. How much pride do you take in that, knowing that, like, hey, like I'm being vulnerable and open and outspoken about this? And obviously you're a very well-spoken person. So that's probably not anything hard for you to do, but do you welcome that responsibility and do you have pride in that responsibility?
Yeah. And that's why, when BMS came to me with the opportunity, it was like, dang, like this is a perfect opportunity. Like, so like I said, I get to kind of be like a trailblazer for guys with HCM. And obviously there's people before me that played basketball, but not maybe, so to speak, in NBA, but
right,
that played HCM. But yeah, it's great, because like when people look up HCM, my name might pop up, and it kind of does give me a sense of pride, but also just lets me know that me being vulnerable is not always the worst thing. And me speaking about, something that happened in my life and something that's, very dear to me. It's not, it used to be a scary thing, but now it's not, you know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah, that's awesome. So one of the final things we always love to ask our guests on here is just, what's God teaching you right now? And obviously you're in a season of life where you're a young man. Like you mentioned, you're going city to city every other day. And rarely are you, back home, so to speak, like for a long period of time. So you're kind of on the go a lot more than a lot of people are used to. But what's God teaching you in this season of life where you're, fresh into the NBA and, young 20s guy, just trying to figure out how to play professional sports and all that, what's God teaching you right now?
It's teaching me a lot. Oh man. I think there's like 3 things maybe that he's probably trying to teach me. Is number one, we talk about control. And then as a rookie, there's a lot of things you can't control as far as like playing stuff like that. And, and I, like I said, just try not to worry about tomorrow. Just worry about today. Tomorrow's enough worries, Matthew 6. And also teaching me about approval of man, Galatians 1:10. If I wasn't if I didn't seek the approval of man, I would be bond servant of Christ. What else? He's teaching me about stewarding the money that I have, being a good steward of my money. That's also a big thing. So it's a lot that I feel like he's trying to teach me. But I think at the end of the day, there's so much grace and mercy that he's given me that I think I'm okay, and his timing is always perfect in my life. So it's been great.
That's awesome. So what's the ceiling for Jared Butler as an NBA player? What can we hope for? Not just this rookie season, but what do you believe your ceiling is as a player in the NBA?
Man,
I know that's a tough question.
But I think I could be an all-star in this league. I think I could. I just want to be heavily dependent on to win a championship, and I think I can win multiple championships. And so those are my ceilings, I guess, if I had to put it on there.
That's great. Well, Jared, this was awesome, man, and kudos to you for being outspoken about this cause and just living your life for the Lord and all the great things that you've continued to do and have done at Baylor and rooting for you really hard. This is a great story, and I've been rooting for you since you were at Baylor, and so just excited to see what happens with you and the Jazz. You guys got a good team there, Donovan Mitchell and a lot of other good players. So best of luck to you, man. This is a great conversation. I appreciate it. Anything else that you want to add about HCM or anything else that maybe we didn't touch on?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is if anybody wants to learn more or have any questions or concern or have even experienced any symptoms like shortness of breath, chest pain, dizziness, tiredness, speak with your healthcare provider. Do that first or visit coulditbehcm.com. It's a great resource for anybody who wants to learn more about HCM. And so that's about it.
Well, thanks so much, Jared. This is great.
Yep. Thanks, my man.
And many thanks to Jared Butler for joining us today on Sports Spectrum. Just an NBA rookie right now with the Utah Jazz, and I really hope that he gets an opportunity to take that leap and to have that chance to perform and to do well and have a long and storied NBA career. But either way, he'll always be an NCAA champion and a most outstanding player in the Final Four during his time with the Baylor Bears. So we appreciate Jared. We appreciate Cole Claiborne as well for stepping in to my shoes and filling in and doing this interview today with Jared. Cole has done a great job as a producer with Sports Spectrum this past year, and I wanted to see him get an opportunity to talk to Jared, and I thought he did a great job as well. So we appreciate both of them for their contributions to Sports Spectrum, and we appreciate you for listening as well. On the way out, want to remind you, click that subscribe or that follow button on whatever app you're listening to this podcast on so that you never miss an episode of Sports Spectrum's podcast. And if you're thinking about a Christmas idea, a gift idea to get someone, I want to encourage you to check out theincrease.com. It's all revamped, brand new, and it's a great resource center with tons of opportunities to purchase something for that Jesus-loving sports fan in your life. We have a store right there at theincrease.com. Go check it out. You can get our devotional there, our 52-week devotional. There's some swag there. There's some sweatshirts and some hats and some really neat items that you can purchase. Perfect Christmas gifts right there at theincrease.com. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time right here on Sports Spectrum. Have a great rest of your day.